The planet of Vera Prime was burning, not with fire but with the cold metallic hum of war. Smoke from shattered cities rose into the sky, mixing with the red clouds that gave the planet its ominous glow. Human ships patrolled the orbit, scanning for any sign of the enemy. The Zalari, a race of intelligent, insect-like aliens with crystal-like eyes and bodies that shimmered under the sun. Captain Elias Kane gripped the controls of his damaged dropship, the Hawking, as it hovered above the battlefield. His eyes scanned the chaos below. Buildings crumbled like sandcastles under relentless bombardment. Zalari troops advanced in precision, hunting every human soldier they could find. Status report. Elias barked over the comms. Minor hull damage, came the reply from Lieutenant Mara, his second in command. Shields are holding, but the enemy's heavy units are closing in. We have maybe 5 minutes before we're trapped. Elias's jaw tightened. He didn't need the report to know that. He could see the enemy forces moving like a tide of steel and claws, precise and terrifying. Every human on the surface was in danger and every second counted. And then he saw her, a small figure crouched in the ruins of what had once been a marketplace. Her body was tiny, but her crystalline wings, fragile, almost transparent, caught the dim light like fragments of broken glass. Her eyes, wide and luminescent, met his from across the battlefield. She was alone, a child, a Zalari child. Elias' heart skipped a beat. The war had taught him one thing clearly. Zalari children were rarely left alive. If she remained here, she would not survive the hour. "Lieutenant," he said, voice low but urgent. "Prepare for extraction. We're bringing her out." Mara hesitated, her hand hovering over the weapon controls. "Captain, she's the enemy." "Orders are clear." Elias shook his head. "Orders are written by humans. Ethics are universal. If we leave her, she dies. We save her." Mara's eyes softened. She had seen this side of Elias before. The side that didn't follow the rules blindly. The side that acted because it was right, not because it was convenient. "Understood," she said finally. Prepping the ship. Elias adjusted the Hawking's thrusters, guiding it through the wreckage and debris. He could feel the heat from nearby explosions, see shards of metal and stone spinning through the air. The child was moving now, stepping forward carefully as though she could sense he was coming for her. "Captain," Mara warned. "Enemy patrols on the left. They're fast." "Then we'll be faster," Elias said. He pressed the ship's acceleration, weaving through falling buildings and bursts of laser fire. His hands moved instinctively over the controls, every motion precise, every maneuver a calculation of survival. The child froze, her wings fluttering nervously. She opened her mouth as if to cry, but no sound came. Elias didn't need words. He saw her fear mirrored in his own. "Almost there," he muttered. He hovered the Hawking above the child, lowering the extraction ramp. "Come on, quickly." The child hesitated. Elias felt the weight of the moment. One wrong move and both of them would be destroyed. Then, as if understanding, she ran. Her tiny legs moved as fast as they could, and Elias extended his hand. She grasped it, fragile fingers wrapping around his, and together they surged into the ship. The ramp closed behind them just as laser fire struck the ground where the child had stood. Elias felt the shock wave through the ship, heard the groan of metal bending under pressure. He exhaled slowly, adrenaline still coursing through his veins. "Is she safe?" Mara asked, checking the child carefully. "She's safe," Elias said. He turned to look at her. She was staring at him wide-eyed, as if studying the human who had just defied the galaxy to save her life. Her wings twitched nervously, but she didn't cry. "Not yet." Elias crouched down to her level. "Hey," he said gently, "you're okay now. You're safe with us." The child tilted her head, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light of the ship. Then she spoke. Not words, but a melodic series of clicks and tones. Zalari speech, but somehow soft, almost musical. Elias didn't understand the words, but he felt the meaning. She was thanking him. "Yeah," he said with a small smile. "I got you." They were silent for a moment. The Hawking's engines hummed, carrying them away from the battlefield, away from the chaos below. But Elias knew this was only the beginning. The moment the Zalari forces realized their child was missing, the war would change. Queen Solara would send her finest warriors, and they would stop at nothing to retrieve her offspring. Mara broke the silence. "Captain, what do we do now?" Elias stood, gripping the railing. "We keep moving. We get her somewhere safe, then we hope humanity is ready for what comes next." The journey through orbit was tense. Every sensor blinked red with incoming threats, and Elias had to think fast to dodge patrol ships and mines. The child remained quiet, her small form leaning against Mara for comfort. Elias watched her, a mix of awe and concern rising in his chest. He remembered stories from the war. Zalari children were rare, almost sacred in their society. To kill or capture one was a declaration of war that could destroy planets. And yet here she was in his hands, the embodiment of innocence amidst cruelty. Why her? Mara whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Why risk everything? Elias didn't answer immediately. He looked out the viewport at the endless expanse of stars. Humanity had faced countless threats in its history, but this was different. This was about more than survival. It was about humanity itself, our choices, our compassion, our courage in the face of impossible odds. Finally, he said, because sometimes the right thing isn't the easy thing, and sometimes the right thing defines who we are. The child's wings flickered again, small sparks of light dancing along the crystalline edges. Elias watched, fascinated. She seemed to understand him in some way beyond language. She trusted him. Hours passed as the Hawking navigated the asteroid belts and debris fields surrounding Vera Prime. The child, now sitting quietly beside Mara, occasionally reached out to touch Elias's arm or hand. Simple gestures, but they carried profound meaning. She was learning to trust, and he was learning what it meant to protect someone not of his kind, not of his world, yet just as important. Suddenly, the sensors beeped frantically. Captain! Multiple signatures. Incoming ships, high speed. Elias swore under his breath. Zalari interceptors, sleek, angular ships with deadly precision, were converging on them. They had been tracked. The Queen's forces had already mobilized. Evasive maneuvers, Elias shouted. The Hawking shuddered as he twisted and turned, weaving through the void. Lasers cut through the darkness around them. Explosions flared nearby. The child clung to Mara, her crystalline wings folding tightly against her back. Elias glanced at her for a brief second and felt a surge of determination. He would not let her die, not now, not ever. Minutes felt like hours. The Hawking darted through asteroids, slinging between fragments of metal and ice. The Zalari ships were relentless, but human ingenuity and sheer audacity allowed Elias to outmaneuver them at every turn. Finally, after a harrowing chase, they reached a cloaked human freighter waiting at the edge of the system. Elias docked quickly, sealing the ramp. The child stepped inside, her small form trembling but safe. Elias exhaled slowly, the tension leaving his body in a long, shuddering breath. We made it, he said softly. You're safe now. The child looked at him, her eyes glowing faintly again, her small hands reaching for his. Elias knelt down, letting her take his fingers. Don't worry, he whispered. I'll protect you. No one will hurt you, not while I'm here. Somehow, in the quiet hum of the freighter, amidst the danger and war, a bond had formed. Not of blood, not of species, but of trust and courage. Elias realized something profound. Sometimes protecting the weak was more than duty. It was destiny. And far away, across the stars, Queen Solara's eyes blazed with fury and curiosity. Her child had been taken. But more than that, someone human had dared to defy her. Someone human had shown the courage and heart that even her own kind rarely displayed. The game was just beginning. The freighter drifted quietly through the empty void beyond Vera Prime, its dark hull nearly invisible against the backdrop of stars. Captain Elias Kane leaned against the control console, his eyes fixed on the viewport. He could see nothing yet feel everything. Every flicker on the sensors, every faint signal from deep space. Leary, the Zalari child, sat in a small corner of the cabin, her crystalline wings folding and unfolding nervously. She had remained silent since the rescue, observing Elias and Mara with large, luminous eyes. Her alien gaze seemed to measure them, to judge their worth, even though Elias knew that judging was something she barely understood at her age. Mara checked the freighter's systems again, her fingers moving over the panels with precision. Captain, she said, her voice low, I've calculated escape routes. If we jump to hyperspace now, we could get at least a day ahead of any pursuers. Elias shook his head. We can't just run blindly. They'll track us eventually. We need a plan, a way to make sure she stays safe no matter what they throw at us. Mara raised an eyebrow. You're talking about the Zalari Queen. Elias' jaw tightened. Exactly. And she's not someone you just outrun. She commands a fleet that makes the human navy look like a toy collection. A soft sound drew his attention. Leary had stepped closer, her small hand touching the edge of the console. She emitted a series of soft clicks and tones, her voice trembling slightly. Elias bent down to her level. I don't understand your words, he said gently, but I understand you're scared. Her wings fluttered, glowing faintly. Elias realized she was trying to communicate a warning. He turned to the sensors and saw it. A faint energy ripple moving through the void, closing in fast. They're here, he muttered. Not just one ship. A squadron, Mara cursed under her breath. They found us sooner than expected. Captain, we have to jump now. Elias shook his head again. No, if we jump now, they'll know our trail and follow us right to the next system. We need a diversion, and I think I know one. He activated the freighter's external drone network. Small, agile drones detached from the ship and began to scatter in all directions, emitting false energy signatures. Elias grinned. Let's give them a little human creativity. The Zalari ships appeared on the sensors, sleek, angular, deadly. They moved in perfect formation, calculating every move. But humans were unpredictable, chaotic by nature, and Elias intended to use that. The freighter lurched suddenly as he spun it toward a nearby asteroid field. The Zalari pursued relentlessly, firing beams that sliced through the empty space, carving glowing scars into the asteroids. Leary squealed, frightened, and Elias reached out instinctively. It's okay, he said, his voice calm despite the chaos. I've got you. She clung to him for a moment, her wings folding tightly against her back. In that instant, Elias felt a connection, fragile but real. He was no longer just protecting a child. He was protecting a future, a life that could change the course of two species. The freighter darted between massive asteroids, engines screaming. The Zalari ships were relentless, but Elias had learned their patterns. He anticipated their moves, using their predictability against them. One by one, drones detonated near the pursuers, creating a series of explosions that scattered them momentarily. Captain, Mara shouted. They're splitting. 2 ships are coming straight for us. Elias's eyes narrowed. Then we'll make them regret it. He engaged the ship's main thrusters, spinning the freighter in a controlled barrel roll. Lasers struck the hull, but the ship held, armored and resilient. He fired a short-range EMP, disabling one of the interceptors, sending it spinning into the nearest asteroid. Leary's eyes widened, her wings flickering in amazement. Human, she whispered, her tone almost reverent. Elias smiled, realizing that even in her alien way she recognized courage. Minutes stretched into an eternity. The remaining Zalari ships regrouped, but by then Elias had already used the chaos of the asteroid field to his advantage. With a final burst of speed, the freighter cleared the field and engaged its hyperdrive, disappearing into the blackness of space. The ship shuddered as it entered hyperspace, and for the first time in hours Elias allowed himself a deep breath. She's safe, he said softly, glancing at Leary. She looked at him, eyes wide, and gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. Elias's chest tightened. Somehow, in the vast emptiness of space, amidst war and chaos, he felt hope. Mara checked the navigation systems. We're clear for now. But Captain, she's going to draw more attention. The Queen will not let this go. I know, Elias replied. He looked out the viewport at the streaking stars. And neither will I. Hours later, the freighter emerged from hyperspace into a quiet sector near the outer rim of the galaxy. Elias guided the ship to a small, uninhabited moon with hidden caves and natural shielding. Here, the Zalari scouts would have difficulty finding them. Leary explored cautiously, her small hands brushing against the rocky walls. Elias watched her, a faint smile tugging at his lips. This will be our home for now, he said. Safe, hidden, and just far enough away. That night, as the freighter rested, Leary climbed onto the control deck. She stared at Elias, her alien features soft but intense. She emitted another series of clicks, her tone urgent yet curious. What is it, little one? Elias asked. Her wings glowed softly as she reached out, touching his arm lightly. It was a simple gesture, but Elias felt its weight. She was trying to communicate something important. She wants you to understand, Mara said quietly, watching. Not just her words, but her intent. She trusts you. Maybe more than anyone else ever will. Elias looked at Leary and nodded. I understand. I promise I won't let anything happen to you. The next days were tense. Elias and Mara worked tirelessly to reinforce the freighter's defenses and set up monitoring systems. They were ready for any attack, but Elias also took time to teach Lyri about human ways, how to operate simple systems, how to think strategically, and how to trust instincts. Lyri absorbed it all quickly, her alien mind processing human thought patterns in ways Elias found both impressive and humbling. She wasn't just a child. She was brilliant, resilient, and surprisingly perceptive for her age. One evening, as Elias monitored the sensors, an alert flashed across the console. Small readings, distant, almost imperceptible. Zelari ships approaching. The Queen had found them. Elias's hands tightened on the controls. Mara, prepare for evasive maneuvers. They won't give up. Lyri approached, her wings flickering nervously. Elias crouched, meeting her gaze. It's okay. We've faced worse. Together we'll get through this. She clicked softly, almost a whisper of understanding. And for the first time, Elias felt the full weight of his decision. Saving her had made him a target, not just for the Zelari, but for something much greater, a test of humanity's courage, ingenuity, and heart. When the Zelari fleet appeared on the sensors, Elias felt no fear, only determination. He would protect her, not because of orders, not because of duty, but because it was right. And in doing so, he would show them all what humans were capable of: bravery, loyalty, and a willingness to risk everything for the innocent. The freighter accelerated toward the incoming threat. Lasers flared in the distance, and the void of space became a battlefield once more. But Elias Kane did not flinch. Beside him, Lyri clung to Mara, her wings glowing faintly as if drawing courage from the humans who had saved her. And somewhere, far away, Queen Solara watched the signals, her crystalline eyes narrowing. The child had been taken. A human had dared to defy her, and something in that defiance intrigued her. The chase had begun, but it would not end until one side, human or Zelari, showed true strength. And Elias Kane had already proven that humanity's strength was more than weapons or numbers. It was heart, courage, and the will to protect life, even that of an enemy. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, but Elias knew one thing. No matter what came next, he would not let Lyri fall. He would fight. He would endure. He would prove that humans could stand against any threat, because protecting the innocent was not just survival, it was the essence of humanity. And in the silence between the stars, a fragile bond was growing, one that might change the fate of two civilizations forever.